Hi everyone, in this video we're going to be going over the first part of section 1.2 on integers. We're going to talk about some terms and definitions. So to begin, the set of natural numbers or counting numbers refers to the collection of the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And then if we want to expand that to the set of whole numbers, we just add in the number 0. So the set of whole numbers refers to the collection 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Now, the number line is a visual representation of numbers that make it easy to determine value. The further to the right a number is, the greater that number is. So here we have an example of the number line. You can kind of think of it like a ruler. You know, it's marked at every whole number, and there's some space in between each of the numbers. Now, if we take that ruler, so to speak, and add a mirror image, we now have the other side of the number line. And this gives us a notion of the opposite of a number. And we're going to denote the opposite of a number with this dash symbol, or the negative sign. And so, important to note here, all of these numbers on the number line that are to the left of 0 are said to be negative numbers. All of the numbers that are to the right of 0 on the number line are said to be positive. And finally, 0 itself is very special because it's the only number that is neither positive nor negative. So with that in mind, we're going to define the set of integers like so. The set of integers refers to the collection including all of the whole numbers and their opposites. So that would be the negative numbers, the positive numbers, and 0. When we have the integers, it's really useful to have a notion of how big or small a number is. So that's what we're going to define the absolute value to be. It is defined to be the number itself, if that number is 0 or positive, or the opposite number, if that number is negative. So here are some examples. Okay, if we take the absolute value of negative 16, then this is a negative number, so that falls under 2. And the absolute value is supposed to be the opposite number. The opposite number of negative 16 is 16. And if we were to look at the absolute value of 16 itself, well, that number is positive, so we're in statement 1 here, which means the absolute value of 16 is just 16. Now here we have a negative on the outside of the absolute value, kind of right here. So this means literally the opposite of the absolute value of 16. We saw in the previous example that the absolute value of 16 is 16, and we're taking the opposite number of that, which is negative 16. And finally, if you have a negative symbol on the outside and on the inside of the absolute value, we are taking the opposite number of the absolute value of 16. From the first example, the absolute value of negative 16 is 16. So the answer here again is negative 16. Now, when it comes to expressions involving the absolute value, we're going to still adhere to the order of operations PEMDAS, and the absolute value is going to be treated like it's a grouping symbol. So remember, PEMDAS, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, or in our case, Poppy eats more delicious acorns sticks. That's fine. So an example here would be 24 minus the absolute value of 19 minus 3 times the difference of 6 and 2. So remember, according to PEMDAS, that we simply just do any of the grouping symbols first. So that includes that 6 minus 2 here, and also the absolute value symbol. So let's go ahead and simplify that first expression in the parentheses, which gives us 24 minus the absolute value of 19 minus 3 times 4. And again, we're doing grouping symbols first. So now we have to simplify the expression in the grouping symbols, which is our absolute value. And in there, we again defer to the order of operations. Multiplication and division have a higher priority than addition and subtraction. So again, we're going to simplify. And that gives us 24 minus the absolute value of 19 minus 12, which is to say 24 minus the absolute value of 7. Now the absolute value of 7 is, of course, 7. We have 24 minus 7, or 17. And that's it for this video.